we are about to start subnetting, and before subnetting I said we should check this thing like what we have seen, IP addresses. So there is private and public IP addresses. So I said we should check that first. So for checking the IP address of your own system, what we do, we run ipconfig command in Windows machine, and when you run that you will see your interface information, name of your interface, and you will see the IPv4 address of your interface, and it is saying what this IP, my machine is having this IP, and if you can see this is what class C, because it is 192 and it is class C. So this is what class C, and if we check the range of class C private addresses, which is 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.0.25, 192.168.255.255, and it is within the range. It is within the private IP range, and this is what, this is a private IP. And I said when you use private IP in your machine, you cannot go to WAN, you cannot connect to internet. Now I am using this private IP. I'm having a private IP, but still I can connect to the internet. Now because of this gateway, because this gateway is what, it is my router, it is doing what, it is converting my private IP into public IP, and it is sending my data after converting the IP. This is the IP of that router, and what it is doing actually netting. There is a netting configuration already there in this router. It is configured, the net is already configured. So what it is doing, it is converting my IP to this private IP, this public IP. Now which public IP, if you want to know that what public IP you have got on this router, so you can check by going into the browser. You can go to the browser and you can just type in your Google search, what is my IP, and it will show you your IP address. So this is my actual public IP. So this IP, as we can see, this is class C and this is not 192.168. So because of that, it is what, public IP. So my router, on my router's one end, which is connected to internet, it is configured the public IP, and the other end of my router, which is connected to my local network, it has this private IP. So my router is doing what, it is converting the private IP into public IP. Now if you want to see which IP belongs to which company, then first you need to get the IP. For example, I want to get the IP of Facebook, so I will ping the Facebook site. Ping is to check the connectivity. If the system is there, then it will reply. If the system is not there, it will not reply. So when I'm pinging it, what I'm getting is the reply from the server. This is the server of Facebook, and this is the IP of that server, and I'm getting the reply because I'm connected. So this is what the IP of that server, and you can see this is class A, and it is not 10, because in class A we have 10 as a private. So this is 60 times, that means it is not a private IP, it is public IP. So this IP, if you want to know who's using this IP, actually who's registered with this IP, then you can go to the INA site. This is International Assigned Numbers Authority, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, and in that you can see these are the international registers where these IPs are registered. Like when you get any public IP, your IP will be registered here. So I open this register. Let's say I want to check whether the IP of Facebook, maybe it is belong to America. So I open this register ARIN here, like American Register for Internet, ARIN. Now when I go to this side, it shows my public IP also. If you can see, this is my public IP which I see when I go to the Google search also. It is the same IP it is showing there. So this is the IP of my public IP. From there I am connected to this internet. Now I want to search the IP of the Facebook. Who this IP belongs to who? So in any register site, when you go, you will see the who is lookup. It is called who is lookup, and in that search box you can type that IP and then you can search it. Now it will show you that which this IP belongs to which network and which company, we can say. So it is showing here that the IP is from 69.171.224.0 to 69.171.255.255. It is not the whole range of class A. It is only some of the public IPs are assigned to someone. And who is that one? So it is name is the TFBNET3. So this IP, the whole range is given to this name. This is the name of that organization. Direct assignment, it is given directly. Now as we all go on to more information, it is saying here source registry is ARIN, kind is original, full name is Facebook in company. So this IP is given to the Facebook directly, this public IP. You can see the address of that also here, United States. Role is registrant and registration from 11 August 2004. So it is registered on that time, and last change on April 2012. And as you can see, go on to see the name, email address, phone number, operation address. So it shows you the information about the IP, that the IP belongs to which range and the range belongs to which company and all. Now why it is showing this information? I can check my own IP also. Like this is my IP. So I want to check who is using this public IP. So I will try to see, like I'm in India, so I will go for the register which is for India. So Asia Pacific. So I will open this Asia Pacific register. Now in that register also, whether you open any register, you will see the who is lookup search box. This is European register. Again you will have this who is lookup search for Asia Pacific. Also you have this who is lookup register here. So the search box is there. So here I will put the IP and then search. And now it is showing here that okay, the IP is 223.187.128.02, 223.187.255.255. So this is the class C range, but it is given to this Patna Bihar Bharti Airtel Limited. So this IP is actually belong to Airtel company. You can see the address of that company also. You can see the number, phone number, the responsible person's email address is also there. And here it is showing the detailed information about the company who is owning this range. So this is because this is actually Airtel company, because I'm using the Airtel internet. So it is showing that information here. So you can see like which IP belongs to which and who is using this public IP. Now you see it is registered with the name, so nobody in the world can use this range, and this will be like unique IP address in the world, so that any data to this IP will come exactly on that machine which using this IP. Now why it is showing this informations, it is because just like if you want to use some IP, so you can check like whether the IP is available to use or not available to use. This is the only reason to have this who is query, that who is using this IP, whether this IP is available for me or not. So this is how you can check the IP. So these are the public IPs which is registered. So whenever you use these IPs, they are registered in the international registers. So that is the difference between private and public IP. Now we can start subnetting.